been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to Overreaction Monday. Is Trey Lance done in San Francisco after putting up 0 touchdowns? Is Green Bay season over? Saquon is back. Bikes need to be taken serious, guys. Welcome, guys, to the podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. How's your Overreaction Monday going?
My overreaction
Vikings
Monday
are going
is
to the Super Bowl, and Chris is.
I was totally right that the Cowboys will not win the East this year.
Hey, every
Yeah.
team is 1-0 besides Dallas Cowboys, though.
Yeah, that was a last second field goal for the Saints to pull it off. Big win from them, and then they got the block late, anyways, to seal it.
There was a lot of field goals. I'll be honest, like in a nutshell, week 1 was crazy.
Yeah,
Between not everybody having that chemistry, between like high scoring games, teams getting blown out, teams we thought were going to be good struggling. There was, the players and teams we wanted to watch. I think we got the show we wanted. Week 1, great start to the NFL. Started with the Bills dominating the Rams, which we talked about. Football's back,
goes from
guys.
there.
Football's back.
Crazy. At one point in the fourth quarter, you had Carolina, who was about to beat Cleveland. You had Jacksonville, who was about to beat the Commanders. And you had the Texans, who were about to beat the Colts.
Falcons were about to
Bengals
beat the Saints.
Add the Bengals in there too. Yeah.
You think about how many.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you think about how many games came down to the wire. The Lions were a 4th and 1 stoppage of getting the ball back with like a minute 20 left to go on and try and beat the Eagles.
Mhm.
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati went to a crazy overtime situation. Like you said, the Colts and Texans ended up tying, which I still don't understand how we're in the NFL and there's still ties when college football has double overtime. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, Lovie Smith was getting destroyed for that. He kicked away instead of giving the Colts a chance to kick a field goal to win it. I think that was a smart move. I think a tie is better than a loss if it comes down to a tiebreaker.
Still undefeated
between that division, and that's I think that's the first time ever that none of those teams in that division won a game. The Titans lost. Technically, the Colts and the Texans lost. And
Hey, if our Let's Ride Broncos win tonight, the NFC West will be defeated as well.
Yeah.
Enough.
How crazy is that? This week 1
or no wins
would end with a historic week 1 if Seattle comes out and just dominates Russell Wilson.
Should we start with the injuries though? Because outside of obviously Dak Prescott, TJ Watt went down likely,
and he had a huge game. Game. Interception, like 3 forced tackles.
D-line. Yeah, the D-line changed that game for the Steelers, or kept them in, I should say.
First thing I saw on Bleacher Report today is like Ian Rappaport tweeting all these like confirmed MCL tears, ACL tears, all these like injuries. I'm like,
Mac Jones is hurt.
Mac
well, that's
Jones.
just. I think that came out and they said that they were thinking it's just back spasms, but I think there was a Commanders player getting hurt, and Chase Young got injured before the game, like 3 days before the Commanders game. He went to like a volunteer camp, and he was like jumping around stuff and re-aggravated his ACL. So that's
I gotta tell you something though. I did tweet out, I do think the New England Patriots era of domination is over. They just looked horrible yesterday. Their defense looked flat.
Miami looked legit.
I'm just saying, New England didn't look like a good team at all.
Miami looks legit, man.
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. Waddle looks good, man. Tyreek Hill, he looked good. Tua looked good. The defense looked good.
Yeah, fastest player out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. The Bears, they're 1-0. 1-0.
How much is that to blame on the monsoon, though?
Will Fields be the first Ohio State quarterback to be good in the pros in a long time? You know what I mean?
No. I think that was a fluke. They play Green Bay this week.
Hey, if you're gonna play anybody, I'd rather play Green Bay right now.
Well, the left side or the offensive tackles for Green Bay were out. Speaking of injuries, and we obviously know Dak, but the Cowboys were banged up going into that game, so.
You think Aaron Rodgers regrets signing that contract deal with Green Bay?
No, $50 million a year, no.
Ace, let's talk about your Vikings because I was watching that game. So where I was watching the game is I was watching the game at my girlfriend's apartment. She has 3 roommates, and the one's a diehard Vikings fan. She's from Minnesota. Her dad has season tickets. And so she sat with me and we watched the Saints game, and then she put on the Minnesota Vikings game, and I was watching like the first half, and then I left. And the Vikings defensively, offensively, Justin Jefferson, hands down.
I mean, Triple
just
Crown Cup. Are we gonna have
you know what's
back-to-back
amazing,
Triple
Ace? And
Crown?
I'll let you talk about them. Your offense coordinator, the guy that had Cooper Cup,
Kevin O'Connell.
amazing receiver, good offense. Look at the Rams Super Bowl winners. Look at the Rams on Thursday night and day. He goes to Minnesota. Look at your offense. Your offense
Let me
looked
ask you
great.
something though. Green Bay needs to wake up this morning and fire their defensive coordinator. Why do you play a zone defense with no protection at all against JJ?
Also, we saw this last year though too. Like Green Bay struggled last year. Their first game of the year got destroyed by the Saints, and then they go on to go to the playoffs.
It's and it's no secret they're featuring Jefferson this season. Like Kevin O'Connell before the game came out pretty much saying we're looking to see how we can exploit defenses with him. And so the idea is they want to put him all over the field just to figure out what kind of matchups they're in. And I agree, Chris. I don't know why you play zone coverage against that, because they literally will just pick you apart. And Thielen's ho-hum, I think he had 3 or 4 or 5 catches, but they were big catches, or at least overall.
That's scary too. You forget about Thielen.
But the defense, so we switched up from a 4-3 to a 3-4, but we brought in one of the better D tackles, Harrison Phillips from the Bills. We brought in a linebacker, Hicks, Zadarius Smith, who had a somewhat impactful game.
Yeah.
We brought in some pieces as well as drafted a couple guys that likely will be contributing later on that are really showed up in a big way yesterday. So, and again, the Packers, it's not like it's offense versus offense. People think it's, when you think about it, it's like, oh, what's Rodgers going to do against Cousins? No, their offense was banged up and our defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, win's a win. But
you know what? And I get it.
Yeah.
This is what's interesting. Yesterday, there was 10 coaches overall, new coaches that made their debut. I think there's one tonight. They went 6-2-1.
Yeah.
O'Connell has become the 5th head coach in Vikings history to win his debut. Jefferson, with his 184 yards, he now has 5 career games of 150 yards. Only player with more at age 23 in the NFL history is Randy Moss with 6.
Stat that.
Wow.
And I get it, right? Green Bay, they lost a little bit. They don't have the offensive weapons. But listen, I'm telling you, Ace, if that Minnesota team shows up every week and they stay healthy, that is a very serious, scary team. And I will give you that. I know you can't judge a team to like week 3, week 4 until they start to get it together and get the chemistry build up. Vikes look good. Vikes looked good.
Here, let's Stat Dad come back out actually again. JJ, he had 6 receptions for 158 yards, 2 TDs in the first half, 4 catches over 20-plus yards. He accounted for 90.9% of the Vikings' air yards in the first half. He led the NFL in air yards shared last year in 2021 with 45.2%. The Packers are now 2-3 in games with Aaron Rodgers as the starter versus the Vikings since 2020. He's 26-4 in all other games. The Vikings are the only team Rodgers has lost in multiple games against since 2020. And the Vikings going into Philly this week are a 1.5 underdog.
Ooh.
Jeez.
I hope to God you beat Philly.
Vikes are happy. And as I was talking, I thought in my head, like thinking of your girlfriend's friend, Ty, I'm like, I can't refer to them as we. Like every time I say we, referring to the Vikings, like I have anything to do with it, there has to be a punishment, I think.
I say it all the time, like I'm part of the team, because I'm part of the team. I'm emotionally part of the team. How did Rieger do? Did Rieger get any receptions? Did he make an impact on your team yet?
Didn't hear anything about him.
I said it'd be hilarious. It'd be hilarious if he goes off with Justin Jefferson and just like makes the Eagles regret that. Ace,
he'll go off next week.
What's your reaction? You know what I mean? Is this what you expect the Vikings do? Did it exceed your expectations? How take us emotionally how you felt during that game.
So ironically, I bet the under on the game, just thinking like offense is beat up for the Packers. I'm not sure how they had that first drop, the obvious drop on the first play of the game, which could have changed everything. But the Vikings outlook is huge. We beat the rivals, division game, so that's
huge.
Boom. Get off on the right foot, and we played like we easily could have started 0-2 because the Eagles, like Seems like they're going to freaking have late leads and just let people come back to win.
I would say, I feel like the
But
Eagles,
come
everyone's,
back in.
we'll move into the Eagles real quick and we'll just discuss this game real quick. I mean, I
Yeah.
truly do believe the Eagles could have
Oh,
a top
God.
five. I what?
Dallas Cowboys are looking at Cam Newton.
Yo,
Breaking news.
I heard
Breaking
that.
news.
What if this is Cam's chance to come back?
No.
What if this is Cam's chance to come back?
I swear to God, I will burn every Cowboys freaking jersey item I have.
Listen,
Wait, is
no.
that, why?
my
Yeah,
thing
what-
is I don't think Cam still has. I'm a huge Cam Newton fan, but I just don't think Cam still has it. Jimmy G or Cam Newton?
this just
Let's hear
just-
it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Look,
Jimmy G. Hey, Jimmy G or Cam Newton? Don't think about it. Jimmy G or Cam Newton? Let's hear the answer.
Dang it, Rick.
Let's hear the answer.
I would have to go Jimmy G. I'd have to go Jimmy G.
There it is. There
Jimmy
it is.
G over Cam Newton.
There it is.
I
I knew it was in there. I knew it was in there. But
That's weird.
oh God, I'm ready to rip these notes up now.
We saw your face. We saw like your head just bow down a little, and we're like, "Oh God, this can't be good."
let's dissect the Eagles game real quick because I truly do believe the Eagles have a top 5 offense. The way they've rushed with 3 different running backs, the way their
Agreed.
AJ Brown was worth every penny for them because he went off. He
Yeah.
went off. Hurts looked good in my opinion. I think the defense, again, it's early. Maybe they'll get better. Defense, I mean, the Lions scored 35 points. Can we just talk about that for a second? The Lions, who only had like what,
Cannot-
3
yeah.
wins last year, 4 wins, 35 points.
Dude,
I mean,
all they
Jared-
got to do is get that defense fixed, and they're going to be a solid team.
I literally thought that. I said, if their defense plays a normal defensive game, holds the Philadelphia Eagles to like maybe like what, 17 points, 10 points, like something normal. I
Mhm.
mean, Golf came out in the second half and dominated. Swift all game dominated.
Oh God,
What's the stat for Swift here? Swift had 144 yards rushing on 15 attempts with 1 touchdown.
Mhm.
And he had 31 in receiving. I mean, don't get me wrong, Eagles were dominant, and I think the Eagles will be good once they figure that defense out too.
Mhm.
That game, again, we go back to week 1. I mean, the Lions put up 35 points, and we talked about the Lions possibly being better this year.
Can't have that.
You can't, yeah, you know what I mean?
Can't blow a big lead like that to have it come down to pretty much a last second fourth down play or whatever the case. So they do that against the Vikings, they're going to get beat. But I think this game will be under. I think next week will be under just because the Eagles, they're not scoring 38 against our defense. Maybe
No,
they
I don't
do,
think so.
but
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. So we talked about all the Browns have to do until Deshaun Watson comes back. This is also when Deshaun Watson at the time was only suspended for like 4 games or something like that. We said as long as they can run the ball, whatever quarterback is in there, they will get wins. What did
Mhm.
they do? They ran the ball, and Brissett threw for 147 yards. He got his job done. Nick Chubb, 141 yards rushing. Workhorse. Kareem Hunt only had like 46 on 11 attempts, but Nick Chubb has got to be top 3 running back in everyone's eyes at this point. I know it's week 1. It's
Yeah.
overreaction Monday. I'm okay to say that. But
he's due for a contract too, I think.
I think he just
soon.
signed one not too long ago. What was your
Oh,
guys' reaction
okay.
to this game? I know Baker started off a little slow. A lot of people are saying, I've heard mixed reviews. I heard Pat McAfee talk about the Carolina fans should be happy. I've heard Carolina fans here in Florida say that was a trashy game by Baker. In my personal opinion, I think the offensive line was trash. I think Christian McCaffrey had plenty enough carries and only got like 33 yards rushing.
Mhm.
I think, in my opinion, the Carolina's defense was not good. Could be better,
Mhm.
but I don't think Baker played terrible. I think he kept them in the game through a 7-yard touchdown pass to Anderson. He brought him
Mhm.
back. They were winning. And then the Browns hit this huge, I think it was like a 58 or 60-something yard field goal to win the game. But your guys' overreaction Monday, how do you guys think Baker did? Do you think Carolina is okay, or do you think they're not going to be okay? Or the Browns going to win more than 5 games until Deshaun Watson comes back?
Chris is checked out, I think. I
honestly don't. What do you talk about? You talk about how bad Cleveland's defense
Yeah.
played to even let Baker play that well, or do you talk about Cleveland not having a real good quarterback? Because I don't think Brissett was all that good. I mean, Baker Mayfield did what he had to do to keep him in that game. I don't know what's better and what's worse, Cleveland's defense or Carolina's offense.
Hey, it's overreaction Monday. You know, the Browns gonna go win the Super Bowl. You know, maybe
They might.
Mm.
They get Deshaun back, and they're a 500 team. How crazy
they
would
might.
that
They
be?
might if Nick Chubb keeps running for almost 200 yards
'Cause-
rushing every week.
Well, and they had Conklin. They had a lineman out, and it's like, oh, doesn't matter, just plug and
Yeah.
play. Like,
Yeah.
how does that work? But then other teams, I guess they are run heavy, so maybe it's easier to run block versus pass. But I don't freaking know. Like, they just plug in guys, and it seems to work for them.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield went 16 for 27 with 235 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 sacks on the day. He didn't play
Mhm.
terrible. He had a couple fumbles with the center, but
And
overreaction Monday. I think they'll get out of it.
Brissett was 18 for 34 with 147 yards. So I honestly don't think he's a good quarterback. He's a band-aid till week
No.
11.
I think Brissett's not a good quarterback, but I think he's an okay quarterback to get the job done with Nick Chubb rushing for almost nearly 150 yards rushing every week. You know what I mean? Just to get
Yeah.
the job done. Let's talk about. I saw a crazy stat today. Cincinnati Bengals lose 20-23 to the Steelers in a crazy overtime game. Fitzpatrick blocks that extra point. But do you
So
know that
dumb.
it's not Baker Mayfield? Do you know that Burrow, he's been sacked 24 times in the past 4 games? They go out in the offseason, they get these offensive linemen to help beef up their offensive line, and it did absolutely nothing. He was getting sacked left and right.
I wonder if part of that, because Rodgers and watching the Vikings Packers game, Rodgers would hold on to the ball when, like, I was thinking, like, just throw it away if nobody's open. Why take a sack? I feel like Burrow, he does that too sometimes.
Well, Burrow,
I'll tell you,
he threw 53 times. He got sacked 7 times.
Wow.
I'll tell you something else though. Dallas is in trouble because the last, let's see what the last 5 times that Burrow has had a game with multiple turnovers, the following week he's 4-1 with a 70% completion rating, 9 TDs, 3 interceptions, and a passer rating of 102 or higher. So Dallas is in trouble.
They play the Bengals. Cowboys play Bengals next week.
Yeah.
Hey, my overreaction Monday.
If
my
I'm a
over-
betting
one
man,
pick, baby,
if
number
I'm a
one
betting man,
Hey, Cam Newton's coming in the win. Hey, my overreaction Monday. Hot pick real quick is Commanders going all the way this year. You know, win that division. Carson Wentz comes out 313 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, gets the win. Hey, the Jags didn't look terrible though. I mean, they didn't look great, but they almost had that game too. And then Carson Wentz has a winning drive. But Commanders, you know, debuting the Commanders, the new uniforms. They're at home.
I honestly think
Jahan
of that whole
Dotson.
division, the most impressive game was the Giants beating Tennessee.
Saquon's back.
Barkley going off for
Saquon's
164 yards, his first 50-yard run in 3 years. I think the Giants and Daniel Jones actually played a pretty good damn game after getting his butt chewed out.
He was like
first
10
half,
of 19
he
looked,
at one point.
He didn't look too good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
he got it back.
He was like 10 of 19 at one point.
Yep.
He was more consistent. You know, he's not turning the ball over and being all sloppy with it. And I just think the Giants they have a lot of weapons. And everyone in the East improved except for the Cowboys. And that's why I said they need to have Jerry Jones sell the freaking franchise, take all his children with him, and a clean slate.
Listen, I think Dallas would have still competed a little bit more. I mean, here's my thing too. Dak didn't get injured till like mid 4th quarter. So, I mean, we can't even say, you know, if Dak was in longer, like they just weren't scoring.
No,
You know
that
what's funny
offensive
about-
line was horrible.
It's funny you bring that up because Twins fans are saying that about every management and ownership here now.
Yeah.
Well, after losing 3 games straight to the Guardians, I think that was your last chance.
And
So, yeah.
basically getting swept by the Yanka Pops.
Hey,
not really. Yeah.
Giants win 21-20 in Tennessee. I think if Saquon stays healthy and Daniel Jones can be consistent, that's a scary looking team, like you said. Chiefs just completely stomped on the idea that Patrick Mahomes can't win without Tyreek Hill. 44-21. I think Kyler Murray definitely does need that film study in his contract because I've seen so many videos where clear as day you could see that the blitz was coming and he didn't change it, he didn't audible it, he didn't have someone block, took the sack like it was nothing. That was an embarrassing loss, especially after you just gave that man a huge contract. And at one point, that score was worse than what it looks like right now.
Okay. My hot take, and maybe it's not a hot take, that team scares me the most until Hopkins gets back. And maybe Watts, but they lost Chandler Jones. Where'd he go? The Raiders? They lost him to the Raiders. And Murray, he threw a great touchdown to, I think, Marquise Brown at one point, but that was all in comeback crunch time.
Yeah, it was 44 to
That team looks
like
bad.
7 or 14. It was 44-7 basically almost all day.
Yeah. They're gonna regret. They're gonna regret signing him to that deal.
Oh yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes 360 passing yards with 5 touchdowns and no interceptions and no sacks.
Dude, he has 6 career games with 5 or more touchdown passes. He's tied 4th all time with that feat. In September, this is an amazing stat. He's got 46 TDs and 3 interceptions in his career. It's crazy.
What was Murray? What was his numbers in the game?
Murray was 22 for 34, 193 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Jeez, 193 yards only.
So
Dude, that's what happens, man. That's what happens when you get this big money.
When do we talk about Travis Kelce becoming the greatest tight end ever in history?
When he passes the greatest.
I mean, 121 receiving yards yesterday. I mean, what has this guy not done? You know what I mean?
Well, the offense clearly revolves around him and Mahomes. It's fascinating. They just got burners on they got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who would have caught that ball yesterday if he was still on the Packers, who's a burner, McCole Hardman, but
Juju Smith put up 80 yards receiving.
Yep, but then you have Kelce that can beat almost any matchup out there, pretty much.
But then again, here we go down that road. As far as when do you call him the greatest of all time?
Who's better than him? Like, I'm curious.
But listen. The thing is, when you go back to the greats back in the 80s and 90s, the game's changed. This is a passing league now. You don't see, back when I watched football as a kid, running backs got the ball 25 to 30 times a game. There was one running back, and that was all they used. And your best tight ends were great blockers.
Yeah,
they were an extra lineman.
So you don't count them.
Today's game, you spread them out. And you can't say he's the best of all time, just like you can't say Tom Brady's the best of all time, because we're in a generation. But you got to understand something. 6 Super Bowls is great, but we're in a generation where they throw the ball 50 times a game, where Joe Montana threw the ball 25 times a game.
Listen, you throw all stats aside, right? I get it's hard to compare players, different generations. But at the end of the day, you realize how hard it is to get to one Super Bowl and win one Super Bowl. Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowls as a quarterback. But you got to
understand, Ty, the whole game has changed. I mean, back in the day, you went across the middle, you got your head ripped off. They didn't have this. You touch somebody, you get a pass interference penalty. You sack a quarterback lower, you bump his helmet, it's a 15-yard penalty. Football has changed.
No, I get it. And I think
they're doing right now what people want. People want to see balls thrown in the air. They don't want to see a running back run 30 times a game.
Like, I think Patrick Mahomes will be a quarterback that could probably have the best chance to pass Tom Brady's stats. But if he only ends his career with 1 Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowls and Tom Brady still has 6, like, I mean, that is just something you don't ever see. I mean, like they made that Michael Jordan commercial yesterday before the game where he's talking about Tom Brady. I mean,
I know
you will never see a career probably ever again in our lives like Tom Brady. And I think that speaks for itself. And just 6 Super Bowls. I mean, that's just, I mean, I haven't even seen the Saints win 1. You know what I mean? Like, fans die to see their teams win 1. He's won 6.
I agree with Chris, though, too. I think generationally, Kelce's easily top probably 2 or 3 tight ends. Like, if you just look at when he played, because it has changed a lot. Same with quarterbacks. Like, I guess Marino was maybe the first that really was allowed to kind of chuck it.
Well, like name some tight ends though. Like, and I'm not saying Kelce the best, right?
Gronk.
So we compare Kelce. If we compare Gronk and Kelce, you know, I would honestly, in my opinion, say Kelce probably will pass his stats, if not already with receiving yards.
Can we throw Gonzalez? Like, is Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, are they too far? I
don't think they're too far gone. I think they both were great, but I think I'm taking Kelce. I think all day.
I mean, look at you. I just typed in America's best tight ends of all time. You know, Jason Witten, Dave Casper, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Ozzie Newsome, Charlie Sanders, Mike Ditka, Jackie Smith. I mean, those guys there. I mean, it's just a different era. If you look at their stats, I guarantee you, Mike Ditka never received 100 receptions a season or had 1,000 yards. You know, those guys there back then, you're lucky if they saw. I mean, Zach Ertz is another one. Good, freaking amazing. Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham was another one too that was really good. So he got injuries. It's just a different game. Yeah,
it is absolutely. In my opinion, if you line all those guys up, I think Kelce competes with all of them. But Hey, like you said,
I
it is
mean,
hard. It is hard. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick. It's different generations.
you look at this, Jay Novacek
Yeah,
from back
yep.
in the 80s and 90s, his career numbers, 158 games. He had 422 catches and he had 4,630 yards, 11 receptions yards per carry, 30 TDs, 4,000 yards receiving. These guys do that in 4 years anymore.
Oh
The
yeah, I mean
game's
Kelsey's
changed.
probably done that in 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the game's changed. I mean, just like running backs, you'll never see the Emmitt Smiths and the Barry Sanders anymore. It's just
No.
it's you got like 3 or 4 running backs on a team.
Yeah. I'll break down the Saints and Falcons real quick. Saints win a nail biter 27-26. Offense looked pretty flat throughout the whole first half. I think Pete Carmichael did a terrible job at switching the plays up and changing the style, the flow of the game. I remember at one point he walked up to Jameis Winston to show him the plays from the last drive, and Jameis threw it down, so I'm not looking at it. Defense didn't play bad. There's a lot of new guys, so the chemistry didn't look great yet. But hey, we pulled off the win the fourth quarter. At one point, I think Jameis was like 90% completion rated in the fourth quarter. Taysom Hill, 81 yards rushing. Loved having him on the offense. Definitely missed that. Alvin Kamara didn't do anything special, 39 yards rushing. Jameis Winston, though, did end with 269 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Again, his interception rate is still low like last year. Offensive line didn't look great. Still have some young guys on the offense line that are trying to get with it. Jarvis Landry was the big shock in my eyes. I didn't think he would have as much of an impact that he did, but he had 114 yards receiving and probably the biggest play of the game that put the Saints in field goal range to win the game. Michael Thomas is back. He's coming out with vengeance, wants to have a better year than 2019. Coming off his ankle injury, missing almost 2 seasons of NFL football. 57 yards receiving with 2 big touchdowns. And those weren't easy touchdowns either. They were one-on-one physical touchdowns. It wasn't slant boy out there. He was running some great routes. But at the end of the day, Saints are 1-0. We go home to the Dome this week to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's who dat. Get it right.
Oh, dang it. Is that the Bengals? Who
That's the Bengals. That's the Bengals. Hey, Chris Olave, our first round rookie, got involved too. It just I like what I saw in the fourth quarter. If that's the Saints that can show up every week, like if we can have that chemistry and show up like that, and Jameis Winston's a clown. I don't know if you guys watch his interviews, but like his facial features and his emotions, like it's not even he's trying, but it's so hilarious. But the way he breaks down the game post games interviews, he sounds so smart. He talks about the game in a smart way. He handles himself very professionally anymore. It's like a different Winston, and I love it.
Only thing I gotta say is both your quarterbacks were in the top 5 for the highest graded Pro Football Focus grades this week. Cousins was second with an 85.1. You know, the Kirk Cousins hate has to stop. He's not a bad quarterback. He's one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'll take him on my team in a heartbeat. So let's make that trade today. But Winston was 5th with a 79.6 Pro Football Focus grade. Number 1 was Allen with 91.5. Cousins, like I said, with an 85. Tannehill with an 81. Herbert with a 79. Winston and Cousins were both higher than Brady and Mahomes. So applaud. You guys
and 2 things I loved about Winston. Number 1, he was able to run around. It's good to see him run around, take some hits, and know that he's healing from that recovery. Number 2, and I give Sean Payton props this too, is his game time management and his decision making. You know, he's not just throwing the ball up like he was in Tampa and just hoping for the best. You know, he's holding on to the ball and taking the sack when he has to, or he throws it away. He's not trying to make this huge play. He has faith in his defense. He has faith in his receivers. And I love the Winston I'm seeing. Also, I want to give a round of applause to Marcus Mariota. First game back as a starter, and he played well. Defense failed him. Obviously, there was certain plays at the end that Marcus Mariota could have done better. But I mean, he goes out there and 215 yards passing his first game back. He has a rushing touchdown. Patterson had an amazing rushing game, put up 100 yards rushing on the Saints. First time in 20 games the Saints have allowed a 100-yard rusher. Their rookie receiver, London, looks great. 70 yards receiving. He played really good against the Saints. But, I mean, the Falcons are 0-1. But if I'm being honest, I don't think the Falcons are a team that are just going to get an easy win by.
The only thing the Saints have to worry about is going in against what just Tampa Bay just did to Dallas's defensive line. 2 of your studs, Marcus Davenport and Cam Jordan, had PFF scores of 65 or lower, which is like backup level. And that was one of the things that got off the website for the Saints, was the one thing that they need to work on is filling the holes against the run, because they really had a lot of problems.
Well, I don't think they put Davenport in that much. I didn't see him as much for some reason. Also, we have a new.
Cam Jordan had a Pro Football Focus grade of 63.9.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's backup level.
A D.
I mean,
Does
hey,
it-
Cam
does it
Jordan,
mean a
number
D?
one, Cam Jordan's getting old, but he's still Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
Also, we had a not a rookie linebacker, but someone that didn't play as much last year. Working with DeMar Davis. So, like I said, the chemistry is going to take a little time. I still think the Saints are going to be a good team when they do build that chemistry, especially with that defense. Tyrann Mathieu understand the defense and mold in with the team. Also, it was so surreal to see him in a Saints uniform and actually play. That's another guy. And I talked with you guys before this podcast who
And
didn't even
Juice.
play. He didn't play any preseason games, and or if he did, it was like limited snaps. And I said to multiple people today, I think the preseason is screwing a lot of these teams who don't want to hurt their stars or stars that don't want to play. I mean, you turned on so many games, and it's like they were just missing that chemistry together. Like, and it makes you question the preseason and why they're not playing. Like, I get it, injuries can happen.
I tweeted about that. I tweeted about that.
I get it, injuries can happen, but man, like, and I said, like I understand Michael Thomas was dealing with an injury, but like, right, him and Jameis Winston were off pace a couple times.
Mhm.
And if you're not getting reps with your offensive line too, like I saw quarterbacks fumbling snaps, right? If you're not getting those daily like in-game sessions, like I just think that's a waste of time.
Unfortunately, the love of the game is gone. Now you're not even a player. You're an investment. You're an investment to your team. So you're paying these quarterbacks $45 million. You're paying these freaking receivers $20 million. You're never going to see this. And this is why I said to you guys last week, I have no idea what the Dallas Cowboys have. And I tweeted about this last night. They need to start doing something where they get these guys playing, because that football looked sloppy yesterday. It really did. It looked horrible.
It really did.
Yeah.
That's why I think it was such an interesting week one.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
the
had
Vikings looked
Cincinnati
great.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Nobody wanted to win that game. Both kickers missed how many field goals. And just this timing. You saw timing was bad. It's just, I don't know.
I mean,
It
you
was
look
just
at how many
it was-
quarterbacks were taking sacks left and right too. It's like, all right, are these offensive linemen getting enough snaps to prepare themselves? Practice can only do so much. It's like that game time practice is a whole different level.
I mean, the same thing about the Eagles and the Lions game. Is the Lions offense that elite, or was the Eagles defense, which is supposed to be the second in the league, just that bad right now?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a coin flip. You won't know. You won't know until
But
week 3.
That's why Bill Belichick, you can't judge a team until week 3 or 4, because you just, like I
can
said,
judge mine.
some of these teams that looked really bad this week, in 3 weeks, they might have the best defense in the NFL. You know what I mean?
And Ace,
Yeah,
just
it'll
so
take
you
time.
know,
your
top PFF grades for your offense was JJ, which was a 99.1, which is elite. Cousins 85.1, and Brian O'Neill with an 80.6.
Yeah, we had the only weak spot might be the center Bradbury, and maybe I don't know what position O'Neill plays, but one of the guards didn't have the best game.
And
So-
Ty, your top Saints was Landry, Winston, and Ryan Ramczyk. Those were your top 3 Saints.
Hey, they're saying Dak is eyeing week 8 or 9. That's what's nice about you this year is it's an extended season. So that's why, if they do roll the dice with Cooper Rush, or even if you just go get a guy for a rental who could win, 5 out of those games, just something to keep you alive in that division.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I'm going to give you my Cowboy stats now. Okay.
Yeah,
and this is why, if I'm the freaking GM of football, I'm telling you right now, every 4 to 5 years, I'm getting a new freaking quarterback, whether it's through the draft or it's a freaking hand-me-down from another freaking team that's not going to get paid. Like a Jameis Winston, what's he making? $16 million? Come to the Cowboys,
20.
I'll take you. I'm not paying these guys big money anymore, because ever since we paid Dak has missed 12 games since 2020 due to injuries after starting his first 69 games of his career injury-free. Dallas is 5-7 in those games, averaging 21 points, 216 passing yards. Dallas has got to do something, because
Dak 5-7 when he's injured.
Dak got all that money now, and guess what? We got another Tony Romo. A guy that can't stay healthy.
Hey,
and I said this last night. The Dallas Cowboys need to, and I can honestly say this: they got to do something, because the GM that we have, Stephen Jones and Will Greer, whatever his name is, Will McCray, whatever, they got to go. They got Will McCray. They got to go, because Will Greer's the quarterback.
Yeah.
Will McRae is the Will
Stop messing
McRae.
with-
I'm
stop
talking about
messing
the
with-
GM.
I was so confused for a second. I was like, what?
The GMs. Stephen Jones and Will McRae have to go because you know what? They knew all off season what we lost, and they built nothing around Dak to help him. They have $22 million in freaking cap space. What do? We signed Jason Peters, who says, "Oh, I'm in the best shape of my life." They bring him in, and he's not going to be ready till week 3 because he's not in shape. You know, I said last night several times to Noah while watching this game, Dak's going to get hurt. We lost Connor McGovern. Our left side had 2 rookies playing last night, trying to protect your $45 million quarterback.
How much is Jerry trying to make decisions for them as a GM? Because that just really, it seems like sadly his presence just kind of overshadows a lot, and that he is literally making decisions or wanting to be in the know with everything.
Jerry actually has not made that many decisions anymore. He's the tiebreaker guy. You know what I mean? Because Jerry wanted he wanted Paxton Lynch way back in the day. He wanted Johnny Manziel, and they never got him. You know, they went away from what Jerry wanted. But the problem is they're so bent on being homegrown instead of spending the money that they have. I mean, look what the Rams do. The Rams spend all their money in draft picks, and look, they get to the Super Bowl. What's the big deal if you have $18 million going into next year? Who gives a shit?
Let me ask you a serious question.
Contracts to make money up like the Saints do every year.
Let me ask you a serious question, and I want you to view this as a fan who knows the potential of Dak Prescott, not just as a Dallas fan who's heated right now. You have, and bear with me for a second. Let me finish, and then you give me your answer. You have a quarterback. Say Dallas is interested in Cam Newton, Mace Rudolph, or Jimmy G, right? Say they bring one of those 3 guys in. Say they go 6-2 or something, and they look great. Do you think, or would you want to roll that dice almost like the Romo situation, be like, keep him in, maybe we trade Dak? Or are you like, all right, Dak has had some highlights. I want him to come back, but if this quarterback does win some games, we bring Dak in.
The problem is
do you take this opportunity to maybe like start to tilt and be like, all right, do we look for a new guy right here? Like, is this the opportunity to bring someone in and see how they mold with this offense?
If I was going to do that, I honestly would go young. I would maybe go with the Will Greer and give him a shot, because the problem is, Ty, at the end of the day, nobody's going to pick up Dak's contract. No one's going to want to pay him $45 million and all that guaranteed money. The problem with Dak is, and I said this from the start, Dak cannot throw receivers open. Last night, they had such tight coverage on CeeDee Lamb. The only one that was open was Noah Brown and our little dump downs, the Schultz.
What happened to that Houston guy? He came in for one play, made a nice play, and then I never saw him on the field again.
Dak cannot throw guys open. And I don't know if it's a timing thing. He was behind on throws last night, and he missed Noah Brown, who was wide open on a little screen. It's just, Dak could be a good Dak's problem is Dak was a great quarterback when no one knew him. No one had tape on him, and they played him differently. I don't think Dak's the answer. I really don't. And I'm not saying Dak is a bad quarterback, but I never said Dak was a top 10 quarterback, and I stand by that. Dak is not a top 10 quarterback in this league. And if Dak gets pressure, it takes him too long to go through all his reads. I mean, he got sacked several times last night, and it was because the line wasn't giving him time, but it also, he doesn't go through his reads fast enough. Tom Brady had a broken line last night, and look how he threw the ball. Timing is everything in the NFL, and Dak, for some reason, does not connect with his receivers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the accuracy and the timing was huge, especially in yesterday's game for sure.
Man, I'm a huge Cam Newton fan. Noah just sent that picture of Cam saying, I don't think Cam still has it like he used to. I'm not saying go to Cam. I just saw that photo and it made me like, oh, snap. But I think it's gonna come down to
PR.
Let me tell you something.
Move if they're doing it. He's not. He can't win you games like come on.
I think it's Mason Rudolph or Jimmy G. I think that those are or you're gonna go homegrown. I think those are your options.
105.3 The Fan put a freaking poll up last night saying, do you want the Cowboys to get another quarterback, call Jimmy, check on Cam, or beg Drew Brees or Romo to come back, or take the L's? 73% of the Cowboys nation said take the L's.
No way. Like, dude, I'm sorry, but like if Jameis went down right now, like I'm going to get someone to win games. Like I'm that dedicated fan where I'm not trying to botch my season and hope for next year's draft. Whatever players we have, I want to go win.
Think about it now. Put your GM hats on. You think about it. You take the L's. You get a top 5 pick next year. Okay. You get Dak to come back. No. You get Dak to come back healthy. You can get the best offensive lineman in the top 10 next year. Build that line. Cut Tyron Smith or trade Tyron Smith. Now you just got an awesome left tackle who played great last night in Tyler Smith. Yeah. And you have a younger interior line. You're building that wall around. You let Zeke walk because Zeke's contract's done. Guess what? Boom. Now you have more cap space too.
Yep.
You build around Pollard and Dak. Get yourself another good receiver, and there you go. There you go. You just built your defense is set. You have a great defense.
I would bet that the 73% or whatever whatever it was,
73.
they're probably thinking in that same vein. I feel like the majority of NFL fans are we understand for the most part of what's going on. Like the majority of each fan base understands. So that must be their reasoning, is they want to just get that high draft pick and kind of rebuild.
We'll have to get Aaron Summers on. We'll have to get a Dallas beat writer in here and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, the most interesting thing from yesterday is Tom Brady is still undefeated against 5 NFL teams. He's 1-0 against New England. He's 4-0 against Tampa Bay. He's 6-0 against Minnesota. He's 7-0 against Dallas. And he is 10-0 against the Atlanta Falcons in his career.
I truly do think this is his last year in the NFL.
Yeah.
So do I. You see his wife did tweet out last night. His wife did tweet off last night. Go Tampa Bay and go TB12 or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
Aww.
Yeah, because everyone was speculating there was some stuff going on between them. Dad, you want to break down some MLB stuff for us?
Mm-hmm.
MLB, let me find it.
Besides the Yankees winning that Rays series and really giving us hope for the playoffs.
Actually, that was a big help for the Yankees. They've been struggling lately. They just took the tiebreaker last night. So if they tie with Tampa Bay for first place in the division, they take the tiebreaker, which is huge. There's no way they're going to catch Houston. Houston has a 5-game lead. The Twins, on the other hand, they actually blew a huge opportunity last 3 games. They could have been in first place. They ended up getting swept by the Guardians. My World Series pick, the Chicago White Sox, are 7-3 in their last 10. They're only 2 games behind the Guardians, so just keep an eye on them. Either one of those teams, there's no chance they're going to make the wild card. The Twins are 9 games out of the wild card. The White Sox are 7 out of the wild card, so it's win the division or go home. Albert Pujols actually hit his. He's standing in 4th place alone now with 697 home runs. Everyone's saying
he gets 700. Does he get it?
Everyone's keeps saying he should get the ball back. He told those fans, keep the ball. They deserve it. Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt can join an exclusive list. There's only been 6 instances in the division era since 1969 that teammates finished 1 and 2 in the MVP award voting. Both players right now are tied, leading the National League players with a 7.3 WAR entering Sunday. They could be in this exclusive list when the awards are mentioned in November. Interesting thing is Barry Bonds, man. Barry Bonds is on this list too. He's done it before. He's actually done it, I believe,
with Jeff Kent.
He's done it with Jeff Kent, but Kent won the award. But after that, in 2000, Bonds won 4 MVPs, but Kent won it that year. He also did it in 1990 when he was with the Pirates. Bonds and Bonilla tied 1 and 2 for the MVP. Bonds ended up winning the MVP with 331 votes. His teammate Bonilla had 212. Crazy. It's an interesting thing. So
Cardinals,
we're going down.
Cardinals, I think, is a sneaky team that could get into the World Series.
They're good.
Dude, every year.
Come out of there. Yes.
Every year they seem like they're there. You don't hear about them, and they just pop up every year. But we're down the home stretch now, so it's do or die time. So we got 3-4 weeks left of baseball, and then it's Oktoberfest.
And the Yankees have a little hard time coming up too, because they have all these young guys coming up, and then there's 6 guys that are about to return from injury. And Bader that we got from St. Louis, he was down in rehab, went 1 for 3 his first game. So Aaron Boone's gonna have some hard decisions. I think you keep these young guys up though, because
I think the rosters are opened up now. I think the rosters are opened up now, so they can.
But it's pitching too. We have a lot. I think it's mostly pitchers that are coming back too. So that's a huge decision too. Is all right, well, who's getting sent?
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's at this point, it's probably a good problem to have. I know managerial wise, it's frustrating to see who you figure out who can start. But I don't know. Yankees could be poised to make a deep run if they can get those guys back healthy. I think pitching is going to be key. Again,
well, too. That's you're 100% true. That's important. But the problem with the Yankees is they have a lot of guys that are in slumps right now, and it's all the power hitters. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton's coming out of his. Rizzo hasn't played now in how many games, so he's going to be rusty coming back. You have DJ LeMay, who has a toe injury. He was 2 for 37. So you have a lot of things that are going to be like, okay, do I play these big names in the playoffs, or do I play the hot hands that are playing great right
Because
now?
some of these young guys are
Wait.
getting hot.
Yeah.
Ty, did you say signal the bat?
No, I said
Bat
called. I
sign?
saw called Brett Gardner.
Yeah, call signal the bat.
Just start
Dick Gardner.
pounding on it. He comes running out of center field.
But we're down the home stretch, so pretty soon we'll be talking about the best teams in baseball for the World Series, and the Yankees are 6-4 in their last 10. That's better than where they've been in their last 10. So
There's
things are
nothing
turning
better-
around slowly.
Nothing better than
get
playoff baseball.
we get Boston, so
Absolutely. Weather's
how the
getting
Boston.
Weather's
little
getting a little
chillier.
chilly. You got the beanies on. The people, the crowds are full. Like
Yeah.
it just, man, there's nothing better.
It-
Like
Well, yeah, it just sucks the Twins had to play like absolute dog, you know what, the last week or so to make it very much not interesting.
yeah, NCAA was good this week. JJ
Mhm.
McCarthy dominated in his start against Hawaii. I know Michigan was having that QB
Mhm.
competition, and JJ McCarthy, I think, did just get the nod to be the starter, which sucks because the guy that was the starter, say his name
Cade
for me.
McNamara. Cade
He is
McNamara.
he is a senior, I think. So I mean, that kind of sucks your senior year. I mean, he didn't play bad either last year. So
No, I gotta tell you something though. Honestly, it almost looks like something.
oh yeah,
I don't know. I don't
I
want
know what you're
to
talking about.
be a conspiracy theory guy, but you know what? When JJ was in, that line was flawless, man. There was no pressure
Oh,
on him at all.
I thought the
When
same
McNamara
thing.
Was in,
I
he
thought
got
the same
sacked
thing.
His first two possessions, he got sacked like 3 times.
The thing
It
that
almost
sucks,
is like it's almost like okay. Jim
know-
Harbaugh said, "You know what? Let's get this over with, man."
you know what
Let's-
sucks, man, is like it's college, right? It's not the pros. Like these guys are fighting for, but like when you look at how JJ plays and how the offense looks, like I mean, you have to pick him. I just wonder, can colleges reach out to that guy and be like, hey, like we'll start you if you transfer? Like, do you think colleges can reach out to quarterbacks that get benched and be like, hey,
Look,
if you transfer
Under
to
the
us,
table.
you'll start?
That's one of the things we talked about. Remember, months ago, we talked about that number 1 receiver that other teams were reaching out to him while he was already committed to like Texas or Texas A&M.
Yeah, but that
You
always
know, I
happens.
don't-
That happened
I
with
don't-
Saquon. That happened with Saquon in high school. I'm talking about like when they're already on the team.
I see. I don't know. I don't know if you can transfer during the season. I don't think you're eligible to
I
do
don't
that
either.
during
Or
the
do
season.
you think he pulls a Jalen Hurts and just stays there and cheers him on? And if he gets another moment to shine, he gets his moment to shine.
Look, I think maybe what they can do is if they say he's not the starter anymore, he might get another year of eligibility somewhere. You always heard of 5th-year seniors and all that other stuff. So, but
Mhm.
with these college rules, I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah, but
I don't know if they have
JJ's
to
like a
cut him or what.
sophomore, so I mean, it's not like he's
Yeah.
going to be playing next year anyway.
Yeah, but we'll see. But
Mhm.
interesting thing is Georgia jumps Bama. Bama almost lost to Texas, which is crazy
So it's room
because
for
Yeah.
a lot of upsets.
the crazy thing is Bama falls 1 spot. Texas loses to Bama, and Texas jumps 7 spots in the standings, which I've never heard of a team.
Wait, Texas got ranked?
Texas went
They
from
were.
they
'Cause
went from
They weren't ranked. They weren't ranked.
Yeah, they're ranked now. They're ranked 25th or something like that.
How
It
do
says
you
Texas
how do you
moved up
lose and
6
get ranked?
spots after losing to Bama by 1 point. They also lost their starting quarterback for a few weeks. So if you lost your starting quarterback and you still move up in the standings to the top 25, which
And
is
you weren't
crazy.
even ranked. Did Florida
Yeah.
win? I didn't get to watch that game.
Florida
Mm.
lost to Kentucky.
Oh, so
I
they're
did- yeah, I
probably
didn't watch
what
it.
they
Wow.
drop in the rankings.
Florida, I think they dropped like 20 something or other, but Kentucky was one of the biggest movers. They went from 23rd up to 10th. Kentucky was
Wow.
23rd
State.
last week.
Penn State's
they won
2-0.
They won on the road in the swamp. They drew 13 spots. I got to tell you what, though, the most impressive thing is the notable moves this week. Notre Dame drops from 8th to 40th. Texas A&M drops from 7th to 33rd. Those were upsets. But the positives from the upsets, Marshall jumps up 39 spots to 32nd. Appalachian State
Did you
jumps
see-
up 19 spots
Did you
to
see them?
number
Did you see them
25 in
partying on the
nation.
streets? Did you see them partying on the
Yeah,
streets?
it's crazy.
Dude, crazy.
Dude.
Yo, Penn State had that
Great
5-star
moment.
running back starting, man, and he went off. They're 2-0, and I'm so it wouldn't shock me if they start to get in the rankings.
I have some news here. It's the first time since 1997 UTC, the Tennessee Volunteers, University of Georgia, and Bama all started 2-0. This Saturday will be the first time since September 24th of 2016 that all 4 teams will play a game ranked inside the top 15. The Sun Belt is the first FBS conference since the FBS-FCS split. In 1978, to have 3 teams win a game as underdogs of 15 points or more on the same day. Appalachian State beat number 6 Texas A&M. Marshall beat number 8 Notre Dame, and Georgia Southern beat Nebraska, getting Scott Frost fired.
Jeez. I also don't think Georgia's played anybody good yet.
No,
They never do. Penn State plays Auburn this week, and Auburn's not ranked, but Auburn's always a good team.
Dude, I mean, Penn
Ooh,
State can
that'll
go
be a
3-0,
fun
man. That'd be
game.
nice. That'd be
I
Penn
want
State's
to make
playing
a
well.
trip. I need to start circling games, even
Hey,
if it's just
Penn
frickin'
State was a
Gophers.
great experience, man. It was a
Yeah.
rainy day, but it was packed, and I got to sit in the student section.
Oh my god,
yeah.
yeah, that'd be a dream.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Y'all got anything left before we end this and send this
Yeah,
one home?
one more big note. My second NFL team, the Denver Broncos, kick off their season tonight.
Geno
It's
Smith.
the 12th different quarterback since Peyton Manning. Russell Wilson, with a record of 104,
That's right.
53-1, as a Seattle starter, becomes the 12th quarterback. Like I said, Trevor Siemian, Patrick Lynch, Brock Osweiler, Casey Keenum, Joe Flacco, Brandon Allen, Jeff Driscoll, Ryan Rippon, Drew Lock was 8-13 as a starter. Kendall Hinton, Phillip and Lindsay, and Teddy Bridgewater were the past quarterbacks. Just goes to show you that John Elway, as a GM, does not know anything about quarterbacks.
No.
No, not at all. Not
Are
at
we
all.
Are we all on the Broncos tonight?
Absolutely, baby.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
get my
yeah.
Broncos hat on as soon as I leave.
It would
this
be
freaking
really
room.
cool. It'd be really, really cool to end week 1 with a Seattle upset. Because I think is it in Seattle?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I want Denver to win. I like Russell Wilson, man. But could you imagine Geno Smith balls with Metcalf and Lockett and like just goes off? Like
Dude,
that would be fairy tale. Literally,
I
it
was
would
actually-
be amazing.
I was actually looking at tickets for Denver games, man, and they're up in the 500 level. But I tell you what, they were actually not bad priced against
Okay.
Kansas City.
I
One was
would.
against Kansas City, one was against the Chargers, and the other one was against who the heck was the other one against?
Raiders.
No, it
Divisional.
wasn't the Raiders. It was somebody else. But I was like, man, it's not a bad. The only thing is, it's a drive to get there. But other than
Yeah.
that, not
I
a
might
bad
go.
day. I'll sit up in
I might go to.
nosebleed.
I might go to Miami game once. You know, it's only like an hour away. Just go. I never been to a professional game just to get the experience. You know, why
Dude,
not?
you know,
Heck yeah.
You know what's crazy? CSU is literally 5 blocks from my house. I can walk to the stadium. I looked up their tickets for this week. They're playing some unknown name school. I don't know. Maybe it's Washington State this week or something. But they're playing somebody that's unnamed at home, and the tickets were like $35. I looked at the game for Wyoming.
Wow.
They wanted over $100 freaking dollars a ticket for the nosebleed. I'm like, they're nuts, man. To come
Nuts,
watch you
man.
guys get beat? Nah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Nah, shut
Well,
that
what-
down.
Well, what a first week in the NFL. College football is still staying strong, and we're in the final stretch of MLB. I can't wait for week 2. UFC, which we didn't even talk about, was crazy. I watched the Nate Diaz fight, and my legs hurt so bad watching that fight because all it was is like blocking leg kicks. The one guy's Ferguson's leg was absolutely bleeding. And then you have Nate Diaz put him in a guillotine and put his arm up as he's flexing, as he's tapping. It was an unreal
Love
fight.
it.
Nate Diaz just literally blows the
Look,
roof off places.
The only thing I'm pumped up for is the NFL mock drafts, because with the number 1 pick in
Oh,
the
gosh, here
2023
we go.
draft, the Dallas Cowboys select.
See, I'd be fired up if I was
That's
Dallas. I'd be like, all
right.
right, who we getting? Cam Newton coming to Dallas? Is he turning his career around? 'Cause,
I
hey, do you think about it? He can scramble. So if him and Zeke can get on a good page,
maybe
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Jerry's in their head and making the sound, smart decision. Guys, let's just tank here.
Look,
Listen
honestly-
to Chris. We don't know what we're doing, but I think we know what we're doing if we get a top
see,
5.
we don't know what
pick.
we're doing down
look,
here, but I think we want to lose some
honestly,
games down
seriously,
here.
If we can get a top
Honestly,
5,
The
we
thing
gotta
that would
work on
make
it.
me happy, the thing that would make me happy is if they got O-line help today and they brought in another receiver. If they brought in
Yeah.
another receiver to help out Cooper Rush, I don't think it'll be bad. We
Johnny
can't
Manziel
have.
time?
I
Johnny
mean,
Manziel time?
No. Cooper Rush is his actually completion percentage in the limited time was better than Dak's.
Yo,
So I just
you
think if you
imagine-
get another lineman in there with Peters, maybe Peters got to come back this week. You know, you get your 40-year-old butt out there and just go out there and block.
Imagine they bring in Colin Kaepernick for a workout.
I would do that. I would rather have
Jerry
Colin Kaepernick-
Jones
I would
gets on the
have-
phone. Hey, did you see that? You see that Michigan workout he had down there? I mean, that was
Colin
pretty good.
Kaepernick is better than Cam Newton. I'll take that any day.
And he comes in and he freaking
Probably,
shines,
yeah.
and it's like a San Francisco thing all over again. And Jerry's like, I think we need to
Dude,
keep this guy down here
you-
because he's doing
I
pretty
think he's
good.
in
know-
better shape too. Than
You know
Cam.
damn straight though, those people down there will go absolutely batshit crazy if they brought Johnny Manziel in on a veterans minimum.
Oh, geez.
Hey,
He's
you ma-
another Romo. He's a gunslinger.
I mean, the
man.
You
sad-
imagine he started winning though? Those jersey sales go through the roof for Jerry.
Oh yeah.
The sad thing
Yeah.
is the Cowboys are still gonna freaking take over the national headlines, even with their team and the record they are. It's like, come on, move on.
and that's
move
Johnny
on, guys.
Manziel. Johnny Manziel was down there with T.O. You think T.O. is making? Yo, this guy's doing pretty good down here. I think you need to sign him.
Just ran a 4.31 freaking 40, man. Bring them both in.
I'll
Let's
take
go.
it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's ride.
I would
Let's
do that.
ride.
And Ace, you're absolutely right.
Hot
That
takes.
all Jerry Jones cares about is the Cowboys being in the news. That's all he cares about. You know, he had
Yeah, good
93,000 people in the stadium yesterday. Do you think he gives one piece of about what happened yesterday?
I think he does. I think he loves the money, but I think he is a diehard fan at heart.
Oh yeah, yeah. But he also knows in his mind that the season's over right now.
Mhm.
Not if he gets a quarterback. I think Jerry's the type of owner that he's like,
Look,
No, but Ty, I'd love to be as optimistic as you, but I just don't think they're thinking that
No.
way either.
because you're bringing Cam Newton in, who, let's face it, he led the New England Patriots probably in rushing because he runs more than he throws, and he's
Yeah.
not a quarterback that's good at timing. You know, he's another Lamar Jackson. You know, great during the offseason, bad in the playoffs. You know, one of those kind of guys. You know?
oh, yeah, won an MVP.
Yeah, no, that was years ago though. You know, why don't we just bring Peyton
2
Manning
years-
back? You know,
2 years ago,
I mean,
2
if we're
years
gonna go,
ago.
old
Maybe
school,
Drew
let's
Brees will
see
come out.
if-
Wow,
maybe
call
Drew
Romo.
Brees,
Call
hey,
Romo.
I'll take Romo. You know, Romo is
Take-
one back hit injury
Hey,
away
is
from being
Romo
paralyzed.
still in the broadcast booth?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, I
Yeah.
didn't hear him. All right.
You know,
Well,
he's
we
making
hope-
what, 17 million a year to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Week 2 is coming up. We can't wait to give you our hot takes. You know, like the Commanders win the division, Lions come
We'll
back
break
and win
down
the
another
division.
Cowboys loss.
But keep supporting us. YouTube's growing and everything's growing for us, and we love it. We're just gonna continue to bring the best broadcast that we can give to you guys and enjoy our lovely voices. But we'll see you guys next time, and we hope you have a great one.
Yes, sir.